Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Luana Hodges, YBC, Youth Building Conversation. I am sitting down this evening, a special evening, to talk about breast care awareness. And my guest this evening is Qawnana Lee. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing well. Thanks for
So
having me.
everybody know. So everybody know you've seen her before. She sits on my board as my VP. So you heard her story. She was on here last year because she's also a military veteran. So we covered what it means to be a veteran last year. But what everybody didn't know, she was also a survivor and fighting cancer. So she's on here before we close out Breast Cancer Awareness Month for October. We're sitting down with Miss Lee, and we're just gonna find out some good information that I hope can help other women, older, younger, teenagers. It doesn't matter. We're all women, and we all deal with the same thing. So we want to make sure we bring awareness to women, especially my viewers. And please share the video. Even if you're a man out there, share it with your wife, share it with your sisters, your friends, co-workers, because knowing is half the battle to get through breast cancer. And then we'll discuss more what the other half is. So before we start, Q, can you open us up in a word of prayer?
Sure can. Um, so, Father God, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity and thank you for allowing my sister Luana to have this platform for all types of subjects and for today's breast cancer awareness message. Thank you for our health. Thank you for our sisterhood. And I pray that this particular video and the messages that were delivered today will impact, educate, inspire, and maybe give some hope to people who are either in the fight or with some one who is actually fighting. And with that being said, in your son Christ Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. So just please refresh my viewers who you are.
Well, I'm gonna keep it simple because I do a lot of stuff. But like you mentioned earlier, I am the VP of YBC. Um, but I'm also a fitness professional. I'm a mother of two young adults. And I'm actually a cancer thriver. So not just breast cancer, but other types of cancer. And I actually, director of operations in a real estate firm, and I do a lot of different things. But more importantly, today I come to everybody as an advocate for breast cancer awareness.
Okay, okay. So can you please give us a glance of what you have been dealing with um during the pandemic? I mean, we've been in the pandemic. I mean, it's been a lot in the
Yeah,
pandemic, but you went
yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Well, a lot of people went through a lot during the pandemic, and I was definitely no exception. I went through a divorce through the pandemic. I I literally was quarantined and in isolation by myself during COVID, which I guess wasn't probably a bad thing. It was not expected, but it is what it is. Um, I went through a health scare during the pandemic. I went through a job change during the pandemic, and then there had a very significant health scare as well during the pandemic. So basically my family and I had to kind of climb out of quite a bit of loss and a lot of heartache during the pandemic. Even through that though, we did have some things to celebrate, but again, we were no exception. Our family was no exception to the hardships of of the pandemic.
Yeah. So your life journey has not been easy. I mean, I think what we known each other a good what, going
five
on three,
years
4 or 5 years.
5 years. 5
And
years.
I mean, yeah, and those in those 5 years, all I
Yeah.
can say is wow.
Yep.
How did you maintain your faith, your strength, and your courage? Because it was a point when me and Q are ex-coworkers, but
Yep.
she was going through something and I had no idea because she still came to work and she showed up. Like everything was okay. So if you can take us a little bit on your journey.
So, so you're a mother, and you know that when you are a mother, or a parent in general, you don't really have a lot of time to kind of sit and waddle in the pity, or you don't have a lot of time to do anything but get up and push forward. And um, that I look at as a blessing, because there's a lot of times when people are going through things, and I'm no exception. There are times that I just really didn't have the energy or the strength or the courage to push through. But unfortunately and fortunately, I'm not in a position to just sit and let the chips fall where they're going to lay. I had to get up and I had to keep moving. Even though my kids are older, they're young adults. When you and I were working together, they were both still in high school. Um, so I had one on the way to college and another one in high school right behind him. So they were still at home at the time. But even over the course of 5 years, as they've transitioned into adulthood, they've still needed my parenting. They've still needed, God needed my support. But more importantly, they needed to see what it was like to be human and go through trial and tribulation, and still try to overcome to the best of your ability. Um, and so my kids were the biggest motivator for me. Um, and then when I didn't have the strength, because I can't say that I always had the strength and the courage and the faith, because I'm human, right? I allowed other people to show up for me. People like you, people like her, people like my mom. I couldn't have honestly gotten through that I've had to endure over the past 5 years had I not given myself permission to let people show up for me. So that is the truth. That it wasn't always pretty, but I knew that I couldn't stop moving because I had my kids who not even necessarily were relying on me to pull through, but I needed to be their teacher and their example. I'm that they're going to get examples from everywhere else, but I am also their mom. And if I can help it, I'd like for the examples to come from me.
Yeah. So what lessons has your journey taught you?
Wow. So there's 5 in particular, that my journey has taught me, especially this recent journey. The first one is that feelings aren't facts.
Mm.
Um, the younger generation say, get out your feelings, or I'm in my feelings. That's the new slang. And what I've learned, especially this year with this breast cancer diagnosis, is that I've had to check my feelings, because this is a very sensitive, very hypersensitive situation, and it's very easy to become distracted by your feelings. So the first thing that I had to learn was that feelings aren't facts, right? Um, the second thing that I learned was that I had to be okay with standing up for myself and advocating for myself. Like, no one's going to be a better advocate for me than me. Whether that is the medical community, whether it's family, whether it's friends, um, whether it's even another breast cancer survivor, giving advice, or people want to kind of jump in and just give you all this information, and again, this is a very delicate period, and you have to be your own advocate, especially women of color, when it comes to health and wellness and breast cancer, um, gynecological health, like all of those things. Like, we have to advocate for ourselves and be okay with using our voices and speaking up, or asking for a second opinion, or saying, no, you didn't give me all of my options. I would like to have my options, not just getting a bit of information and just going with that. Second, it was really more of a reconfirmation for me, and not necessarily a lesson. It was big previous health history, cancer diagnosis, that I learned through those experiences, that this time had to be different. And I had to be very strong and okay with being my own advocate. Um, the third thing that I learned was being okay with doing absolutely nothing. And I think that you understand what I mean by that more than anybody, because we did work together. You know that I'm a busybody. You know that I like to be doing things. I like to be feeling accomplished, or like I'm working on something.
Yeah.
And again, because this is not my first go round with cancer, I knew that I had to do this time different, because
Mhm.
the other three times I was on the go, I was moving and shaking. And this time I said, I've got to sit down and be okay with doing absolutely nothing, contribute to my healing journey, and contribute to me healing mentally and physically a lot quicker. So um, doing absolutely nothing. The fourth thing was being completely honest about how I feel, and avoiding what we call toxic positivity. Um, for those who don't know what toxic positivity is, it's, oh yeah, I'm good, everything's okay, I'm everything is all right, it's gonna be okay. And it's really not, but you're telling people that it is, or
Yeah.
you are watering down your feelings. And we're all guilty of that. We're all guilty of that. I decided that this time, if someone actually asked me how I was feeling, depending on who the person is, I'm either A, just going to tell you exactly how I'm feeling, or B, I'm going to ask you first, are you sure you really want to know? Because the other side of that is, people sometimes want you to just say everything is good. And if you don't say it's good, they're quick to assure you that everything is good. Do you
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Toxic positivity. So being completely honest about how I'm feeling, um, and avoiding toxic positivity, because I already did that and it wasn't successful. So we have to do this different. The last thing was allowing people to show up for me.
Mm.
That is that was hard. Out of these, that was probably the hardest for me in the beginning. I had to actually have a conversation with myself more than 10 times about being okay with allowing people to show up for
Yeah.
me, so that I could be completely still, so that I could advocate for myself, so that I could be honest in my feelings, right? Um, those were probably the biggest. I've learned a lot of stuff in a very short amount of time this year in particular, but those were the five that really stood out for me this year. Um, and I'm definitely not the same person that I was when this year started, for sure.
Mm. So in
Yeah,
saying that, I know we touched on your journeys, but can you list the diagnosis that you had in your lifetime that you did overcome, because you're sitting here right in front of me
sure.
talking to me?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously breast cancer. I have also had uterine and ovarian cancer, and I've also had colon cancer.
And
So
she beat and she, I mean, this is a testament of what God can do, in your life. It's truly amazing. I'm glad that I got to have met you and you became a good friend, a good sister, a good business partner, and all of that because
Thank
you're
you.
you're that example that I can get through anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can get through anything as long as we got that positivity. So after fighting cancer multiple times, do you feel you can conquer anything that comes your way?
Well, so to conquer means to successfully overcome and take control, right? And so that's kind of a complicated question, but here are my thoughts about it. I'm not in control, and I haven't been in control of cancer, right? I'm not in control of pretty much anything that's going to happen in my life. It definitely wasn't in control of cancer, of any of the cancers. And because I'm human, I'm not always in control of my emotions. But what I do understand is that no matter the circumstance, no matter the situation, I am responsible for how I respond and react to the situation. And that is what I am on the journey of conquering. Um, within my humanity, right? Because again, I'm human. So what I have conquered is the ability to do better at responding and reacting when situations arise. And that to me is far greater worth celebrating than to look at like all the trials and tribulations of life in my life and the past 5 years since we've known each other. Like, I don't want to ignore that. I don't want to not celebrate that. But the biggest celebration for me is how I'm moving and maneuvering through these challenges, and I'm responding to them different, and I'm less reactive and more proactive and more strategic. Um and that's been what's been bringing me a lot of peace. Like, I feel a lot more peace in that place. Trying not to fight or flight through everything,
Yeah.
right? um, and trying not to, again, be in my feelings and project my emotion onto the world because I have been through so much. Um, so yeah, so the answer is kind of yes, and the answer is kind of no, because when you're conquering, it's ongoing. That's
Yeah.
not really something that's ever ending. As long as you're living, we have situations that are going to show up at our front door, and we got to check our feelings to figure out how we're going to respond.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have created a YouTube network and sharing your journey with us. How hard was that for you? And did it ease some of your rough days? Because you wasn't trying to share nothing. I mean, I asked her so many times, Q, you
Yeah,
going through it ain't for you, it's for
yeah,
somebody else. She
yeah.
was like,
Nope.
no, I'm not ready. No. And I mean,
Yeah,
she came on my platform and I tried to get her to talk about it a little bit. I mean,
no,
it was like, no, I'm not ready yet.
I'm not
So what
ready.
made, yeah, so like now you're sharing.
Well, so I think because it happened so organically, you are not the only person who tried to push me in the pool many times to share my stories. Uh, but it just never felt like it was time. What happened was, I used to be really good at writing. I used to be really good at just writing, journaling my thoughts. And when I got this diagnosis this time, I became numb, and it was really uncomfortable. And I felt like I needed to find a place to dump the feelings. And the first video, I literally was in the parking garage in my building, and I just turned on the recorder, and I just started recording my feelings. And probably about every week or so, because I was in and out of the doctor's office, there was just information. And every time, like the next week would come by, I just had more stuff I needed to dump. So for about a month or so, I was just recording them and I didn't even upload them. But a month into this diagnosis, I noticed that I was starting to become very, very overwhelmed with the amount of conversations that I needed to have. In that very first month, I had quite a few conversations with friends and family and my job, and just trying to set everybody up to understand this journey that we were all about to go on. And I actually started to feel gassed out. So about a month after my diagnosis, I decided to go ahead and just upload them all onto YouTube. Number one, I could free up the space on my phone, but also I was just like, let me put them here because they'll always be here. I didn't realize that I actually had people who had already logged onto the channel, because it was the fitness channel from where I used to actually upload my previous athletes when they would compete. Their videos would go up there. So I had people who had actually already been signed on to our channel. And then very small amount of people that I reached out to and just said, hey, I've decided to start recording, updates here. If you want to know how I'm doing, this would be very helpful for me so that I don't have to keep having a bunch of conversations, but this would be helpful for you too, so that you know what's happening and you don't feel like you're left in the dark. Because this is also the first time that I've really been this transparent and open and candid with anybody about any diagnosis of any sort. So not only am I trying to heal through this cancer, but I got to go back and heal through the other three, cancers as well. So that's pretty much how it happened. I just started uploading the videos, and then um, I got to Instagram and Facebook, and I started posting there. And then when I would post, I would actually add a link to the YouTube at the end of each post. And people just started following it. And it took so much pressure off of me to keep everybody updated, but it took a lot of pressure also off my family, because they are also overwhelmed and they're trying to keep people updated, posted as well. So it just kind of happened organically. A lot of people don't know actually this like whole YouTube celebrity sensation. And so I went to him first and actually said to him, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, but I don't want it to be edited. I don't want it to be scripted. I just want to get on and hit record. And wherever I'm sitting, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm wearing, like that's what folks are going to get. And I asked him what he thought about it. And he said, I think that that's a great idea. And so yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. And ironically, I haven't really seen a whole lot of other people um, who haven't made their faces up and got good lighting. And, I didn't feel like a lot of the videos were showing enough authenticity and organicness about the realness and the rawness of what we're going through at the time that we're going through it. And I come from a world of like bodybuilding and fitness and all that, where, the glitz and the glam. And I just didn't want to do all of that, Luana. Like, I just wanted people to see if I got on a head wrap, if I got my hair done, great. If I don't have my hair done, like, I just wanted people to see, like, this is where I'm at right now. And this is what's happening. And this is what I'm feeling. And I've had other people, whether it's someone who's also going through breast cancer, I've had them reach out to me and say, thank you for being so raw, because this is exactly how I'm feeling. And then I've had other people reach out to me and say, this has really helped me navigate through, my cousin's journey, or my sister's journey, or my mom's journey. I even had a guy reach out to me and say, thank you for posting this, because men also can get breast cancer.
Yeah.
And this man had breast cancer, and he reached out to me and was like, one video in particular where I was just talking about mindfulness or whatever, and he was very grateful at that video, and it actually touched him too. So I just decided to continue to keep posting, and now I don't, when I'm done, I just walk away and move on to whatever's next. You know, I'm not holding it in anymore. So it's been very therapeutic as well. Yeah.
Cool.
But very out of my character.
Yeah, she was adamant. No, I'm not. No, I'm not
No,
doing
ma'am.
that. No, ma'am. I'm not sharing. I'm not ready yet. I was like, okay. So she is the one that inspired this
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, I ain't gonna ask. She asked me. I was like, okay, cool, let's do it.
What
But
did you
you
say? I move
mentioned,
at snail's pace.
yes, exactly. So you mentioned bodybuilding. Yes,
Yeah.
the sister is also a trained, certified, winified, if that's a word. That's a word.
All right. Today it is.
Bodybuilder, been bodybuilding basically her whole life. But she got back in the game a year and a half ago and started training, or even lesser than that, started training. And then you got your fourth diagnosis about the breast cancer.
Yep.
But through it all, you was like, okay, I was diagnosed, but I'm training.
Yep.
And I'm gonna get through this. And then I'm gonna deal with this. So,
basically.
right. I mean, like, anybody could have gave up. You never gave up. I mean, I seen your persistence. I seen you show up. I seen your dedication.
Yeah.
And you won. And you
Yes, I
won.
did. Yes,
So
ma'am, I
that was
did.
another huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna use courage, because the way you broke down courage, and then I ain't gonna use courage. But where did you get that? I'm gonna keep going. I know I got this over here to deal with.
Yeah.
Which for me would have been a distraction, because I'm like, oh my God, but you didn't do that. You was like, I got to get through this first. I made a commitment. I'm going to do this. I'm going to win. Then after I do this, then I'm going to deal with that. Where did that come
from? This is not my first rodeo. What I mean by that is, out of the 4 times I've been diagnosed with cancer, this was the 3rd time that I would get a cancer diagnosis while I am training for a bodybuilding competition. And I still did this time different, but the mindset was kind of the same. So what I mean by that is, well, first of all, when you first get a cancer diagnosis, there's so much that's happening. There are a lot of doctor's appointments and a lot of tests and a lot of, like, you don't get to the course of action for a while. And so in that waiting period, you could literally go crazy. And, I had retired. I had been in retirement from bodybuilding for 10 years. And like I stated earlier, in this interview, during COVID, my whole life, I literally walked away and had to rebuild my whole life. And when I was a bodybuilder before, I was a mom, I was a wife, I was a coach, I had a full-time business, I worked full-time. And so I wanted to know what it felt like to bodybuild without all of the other balls in the air. And I got that diagnosis and I was like 6 weeks out from that competition. And my sister and I were sitting in the doctor's office, and I looked at the doctor and I said, well, how much time do I have? And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I have something that I've committed to that I want to finish. And if you tell me that we've got time for me to finish what I've started, I need to finish what I've started, and then we can tackle this. But it also bought me the time I needed to do the additional research and have all of the further testing, figure out my course of plan on as far as treatment is concerned. So for 6 weeks, I would have just been driving myself crazy in this house or driving everybody else crazy. And so I was just like, well, I need to train my mind for what's about to happen next. And I need to prepare my body for what's about to happen next because I had a double mastectomy. And the road to recovery I knew was going to be a long one. And it would be even longer if I wasn't healthy, if I wasn't mentally healthy, and if I wasn't physically healthy. I've been an athlete my entire life. So I'm really competitive anyway, especially with myself. And just, I remember having the conversation with my coach, and, we had other shows lined up for the rest of the year. We had this whole plan. And he wanted to just kind of go to this show and just kind of get my feet wet because it had been 10 years. And we were on video conference, and I leaned into the video and I looked at him and I said, no, that's not what's going to happen. We're going to go to Charlotte and we go shut it down. I'm going for the win. We're not going to go see what happens. I'm going to win because we already just got proof that even with a plan, we have no guarantees. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. And so we can't assume that I have time. We can't assume that I'll even have time to or that I'll even be able to come back after this show. This might be the only time that I get to experience being a bodybuilder without raising a family and juggling jobs and dealing with all the stress, right? Like, this might be my one opportunity. And so I got to put all the cards on the table or I'm not going. Those were my ultimatum. We do it this way or I'm not going. And so he gave me what I wanted. And for 6 weeks, I took all of my fear and my frustration and my anxiety and my insomnia, like all the things that were brewing inside, and I took it to the gym. And I left it all in the gym. And the day of the show, I decided that cancer was not something that we were going to talk about. It wasn't an option. I was a bodybuilder that day, and I was going to show them who I used to be and who I am now. Like, and it felt amazing to be able to do that. And I kept my promise. The show was over. I looked at my sister and I said, okay, now it's time to go fight cancer again.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
You
So
got
yeah,
me, you got me over here tearing up. I've been on it because I've been on this journey with you, and
yeah.
It's even we're gonna get to that. Even the person that's fighting, there's still people behind you.
Yeah.
That's fighting as well.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's great. And she came back, and she did exactly what she said she was gonna do.
Yeah.
She tackled cancer.
Yeah.
And she's recovering. Thank God.
Yes. Yeah.
So that leads to my next question. Cancer don't only affect the person, but the family and close friends is affected too.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that? I mean, like, you guys, you seen I'm sitting here emotional because I went through it with my cousin. That's why I wear it on my arm every day. This is for my cousin. I don't know if you guys can see. But I support, because we went through it with her. She didn't go through it by herself.
Oh.
My cousin, the whole family, we all went through it with her. So it's not just a diagnosis for that one person, but it becomes a diagnosis for the entire family and your close friends.
Right.
Can you speak to us about that?
Sure. So there are a couple of things. I have been that close friend, and it's you feel helpless. I've been the family member, and the close friend, and you feel helpless. You absolutely feel helpless, and
I gotta get together. God, Lord,
yeah,
oh,
I mean
Lord.
it's serious stuff. I mean,
Oh
for
man.
me on the receiving end of cancer, the hardest part for me was having to break the news to my friends and family. That that's why I was so private the other times. I was so private the other times for a bunch of reasons, embarrassment and shame and insecurity and all these things. But the truth of the matter is, I couldn't I couldn't bear to watch what this would do to my loved ones. I have never felt so low the way I had to feel this time watching my sister and my daughter and my niece and my mom and my son and my you. Oh my gosh. Uh, just everybody that I'm close to, because I'm close to a lot of people. I'm close to a lot of people. So there were a lot of tears and a lot of phone calls and a lot of reassurance and there was a lot of emotion behind that. Um, I don't think if I can leave a message for people who are dealing with cancer, fighting cancer, it's really easy. It's kind of weird because it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, they tell us that we have to be selfish during this journey and we have to take care of ourselves and we have to do what's best for us. But then on the other side of it, we have to also be reminded that we're not by ourselves, even though we're the ones in the driver's seat. We got a bunch of passengers on the bus. We might be the one on the steering wheel driving the bus, but all the passengers in the back seat, all of them, they're on this journey too, and they don't know where we're going either. And it's scary because they're in the seat, they're on the ride, and they have no idea where the final destination is. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to feel. They don't know what to say. Um, I my son's reaction, my daughter's reaction was really painful because I had to watch her literally fall apart at the seams. My son's reaction and his exact words, because see, again, my situation is not it's not uncommon. I'm not the only one who's had to battle cancer more than once, but I'm the only one that I know that's had to battle. Well, no, there's one other person, but 4 times, right? So my son's exact words were, I don't doubt that you're going to battle this and you're going to get through it, but this is the 4th time. Like, how much more can you possibly go through? How much more can you possibly take? Like, what does this mean? Like, he really was trying to wrap his mind around, why is this a thing? And what does this really mean? Because I know that you're probably trying to reassure us that everything's okay. But what does this really mean? You know, um, or my sister who's had hope through the whole process, like she was the one that was just like, nope, I don't feel like this is going to be our journey. You're going to be fine. We're going to get these results and everything's going to be good. And I have to sit her down and tell her, unfortunately, that's not the journey we're about to take. And to watch her actually literally look like a train is about to come and hit her when we were in the doctor's office having that conversation, and she's trying to take notes. Man, that stuff is hard. This is traumatizing for friends and family. And so when I had to have this family meeting, the very first thing that I asked my family to do was to make sure that they were getting the emotional support they needed and they were seeking counseling, because um, I knew this journey was about to be a very interesting journey, and I can't be the only one on the healing journey and everybody else is just fight or flight. Like, if this is going to be our fight, we have to be on the same even playing field, which means that you all have to be emotionally well, right? You guys have to remember, I told you when we talked, I was like, don't not tell me how you feeling. I need to know how you're feeling, because I need to be able to gauge the temperature in the room with you. If you don't share with me, but you want me to share with you, that's not an even playing field.
Right.
Remember we had that conversation?
Mm-hmm.
I had to have it with all of you. Like, you have to tell me how you're feeling, and don't feel like you're dumping this on me. I need to know. I need to know, because to be honest with you, a lot of us who are in the driver's seat, we don't know how to feel for ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially when you're constantly living your life for the sake of other people, especially when you're a mom and a wife and all the, like, sometimes we don't know how to feel. We don't know how we're supposed to feel about something like this. So we have to learn through people like you and our families how you all are feeling about it, so we can say, you know what, that makes sense. I guess I should be ticked off right now. I guess I should be really sad about that. Or I didn't really think about that. We don't really, sometimes we don't know how we're supposed to feel, and we learn that from you.
Yeah.
So, I want to say though, I can't thank you enough for being my
Don't do
sister.
it. Don't do it. I'm crying.
Oh, wipe your face. Wipe your face. But I got to give you your flowers, because you, like, no questions asked. You just been there. Period. Like, no agenda. And I don't come. It takes a lot for me to warm up to people and trust people. And you've just been consistent from the very beginning. You have been a wonderful sister to me. Who not only have you been a wonderful sister to me, but you've brought more sisters into my life who have also been wonderful to me. So I want to make sure that I don't forget to thank you right now. I know it's from the heart. I know it's genuine. And I too am very grateful to have met you 5 years ago and to be on this journey with you, because I know I could not have done this without people like you.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Whew. But we back to you. We on you.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's also another side, for people that haven't experienced being diagnosed, or anybody in their
Yeah.
family or friends who have been, diagnosed. They haven't experienced that. And sometimes people can be a little bit insensitive about the whole situation.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to that person who does not understand? They understand, but they don't understand, but they trying to be there, but don't really know how to be there, or try to say something, but really don't know how to say it. I mean,
Right.
because
Right.
before my cousin went through what she went through, I was that person. You know, I would hear about it and say, "Oh my God, I'll pray." I'll keep you up in my prayers. But that's the only thing that I really
That's
knew.
about all you could say or know
Yeah,
what to say.
right,
Yeah.
because I didn't know what else to say. But then taking that journey with my cousin, it taught me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you ain't got to say nothing.
Sometimes you don't have to say a
No,
word.
your presence is
Yeah.
everything. You
Yep.
just saying, "Hey, how you feeling? Do you
Yep.
need anything? What can I do?" It's all that sometimes you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Even a person that, even with my cousin, and it was her mom just calling her, what you need? You good?
Yeah.
How you feeling? So can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah. This is actually a great question. Um, so it in this day and age with cancer in general, it's very rare that you run into someone who hasn't experienced cancer in some form, but it does exist, right? It's very rare. Um, and again, like I said earlier, I've been on the other side of this. In a span of 5 years, I had about 7 people in my life, and one of them, she gained her wings, and I'm fighting for her to this day. She gained her wings, and you're right. You don't know what to do or what to say when you're diagnosed with something like cancer. Um, you become very protective of your space, and people that you would probably lay on train tracks for become you start to put distance between you and even the people you love the most. The best thing that I can say though is um, you have to give someone like me, um, you gotta give us the wheel. Like, let us lead, let us let us conduct the orchestra. Let us lead the way. Let us meet us where we are, and accept and acknowledge and recognize that although we're still alive, a lot of us are still alive and we're fighting, we've fought, and we've beat cancer, we still experienced a death, which means we are going through stages of grief all the time. I am currently still going through a stage of grief. I had my breast amputated, right?
Yeah.
And I am going through grief right now. So, you know how I said earlier, when people ask me how I'm feeling, I'm authentic with them about how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is, if you actually don't want to know how a person with cancer is feeling, don't ask them how they're feeling. If you're not ready to hear their truth, and then once they tell you, sometimes being quiet and not saying anything at all is okay. Or saying, is there anything I can do for you? Um, the worst thing you can do is say, if there's anything you need, let me know. Anything. If you look up the word anything, and I'm a
Right.
literal girl. So if you tell me you can do anything for me, that means anything.
Yeah.
So what I've had to actually teach everybody on this particular ride is, think about the list of things you can do for me, and then offer me those, and I'll let you know if I need any of those things and when, and I appreciate that you can, right? Because then I'm not disappointed because you said I could do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I tell you what I need, you can't show up for me. And then I
Yeah.
got to shut you out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, though, the main thing is, we get so scared. You hear the word cancer and you immediately hear death sentence, and it's scary. And so the first thing we want to do is we just want to come in and we want to project our feelings on people, and we want to hug them tight and suffocate them to death, and we want to do all the things and rescue them, and we want to do all these things. And the best thing, my sister said, she was like, I just want you to feel better. And
Yeah.
she's been saying that this whole time. And that's been the lesson for me as I've been navigating with people through this journey who either are not, they're not, and here's the thing, we know that you're probably not intentionally being insensitive, but this is where mindfulness and like taking that extra pause to think before you speak. I've had people ready to celebrate the new girls, right? Or make a boob joke, and I wasn't there yet. And so I would just shut down and I would just let people say what they want to say. But then I'm done. The conversation was ended right there for me. Right. And I've already decided that I gotta go do something else and I'll talk to you later. So for me, and I'm only going to speak for me, but I'm sure other people can relate to this. You got to pay attention to the person who's in the driver's seat and see how they're feeling. If they're making jokes, then yes, you join in and you lighten the mood with them. If they're upset and you don't want to be in an angry place with them, just be silent and let them be angry, because guess what? We're allowed.
Yeah.
Right? If
Yeah.
we're ready to celebrate the new girls, then yes, let's celebrate the new girls.
Yeah.
And for all my girlfriends who have been celebrating on my behalf, I'm grateful
Yeah.
because I wasn't there yet. I
Yeah.
wasn't there yet. I'm like, I don't even understand still why this is a thing. Because remember, I'm going through stages of grief.
Right.
So I
Right.
might be in shock. I might be in
Right.
shock. And so thank you to all my girlfriends who've been celebrating the new girls for me, because I couldn't do it for myself. But yeah, like for those of you who've never experienced what it's like to be in the diagnosis seat or to have a loved one, whether it's a close friend or family, in that seat, just take a pause. Just take a pause. And the best thing you can do is just say, I'm sorry and I'm thinking of you. And I'm here. And here are the things that I'm here for. If you need any of these are the things I can do for you when you're ready.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
That's
good.
it.
That's
That's
good.
it. Or how about remove yourself completely? Like, I know that sounds horrible to say, but I learned that on this journey too. There are people that I've had in my life over years that just didn't even show up at all. And I've had my loved ones be mad on my behalf. But remember, I had said earlier that feelings aren't facts. So I decided that I wouldn't be in my feelings about that, because these are people who probably literally don't know what to do in
Yeah.
this situation and are terrified that they're going to make it worse.
Yeah.
So I am okay that even those people who should, right, be here aren't. I'm okay with that if that means that you were trying to protect the atmosphere from being worse for me,
Yeah.
and you really don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
That's okay, because at the end of the day, I'm still over here fighting. Like, it don't change the fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fight is still the same. So
I see.
I guess that would be the biggest lesson for me.
Okay.
That's the biggest lesson that I've learned in this journey, being that I've been on both sides.
Yeah. So what's next for Q? What's next for you?
So I'm about to shock you, because I always have a plan, right? But I don't have a plan.
Okay.
I don't have a plan. I don't have a plan. And I'm actually giving myself permission to sit in this space right now and just be. Um, I I am, what's today? Today is Sunday. It's Sunday. So I
Yeah.
am
The 30th.
nine days post-op from my reconstruction, the final phase of the reconstruction. So I have my implants. So basically, I am in the healing journey, the physical healing journey, and the continued spiritual, emotional, and mental healing journey. And since the doctor gave me the green light in a couple of weeks to be able to actually do some traveling, I am going to do a little vacation. I feel like I earned that. And then, come the new year, we shall see. And I I actually am okay with that. Like,
Good.
we shall see. Which I know is shocking for you, because that's
Yes.
not because I
That's
planned.
okay. But that's okay. That's good. Everybody need a break to breathe and to exhale, inhale, and just reflect
Yep.
on everything. I mean, you have to. Sometimes you gotta sit back and do nothing to
Yep.
reflect, to gain, to get to your next, to
Yes.
see what your next future, what my next step is.
Yes.
You gotta reflect.
Yes.
So how can my viewers follow your journey? How can they share your story? Look at your story. I know we talked about it. They got a glimpse.
Yeah.
But you put it full out there. How can
I
they
did.
follow?
I did put it all the way out there, didn't I? So the YouTube channel is it's under Forever Fit. So FOREVERFIT 03 is the YouTube channel. And then I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Qawnana Lee. And so again, I am still recording the journey. I'm spreading it out a little bit more just because, I am on the healing path. Um, there is a life after cancer, and I think that it is going to be important that I share this next journey after breast cancer. And so I am going to continue to post, mostly not so much on Instagram and Facebook. But I am going to continue to post on YouTube. So you can follow there at Forever Fit 03.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. It was a great conversation. As y'all can see, I got emotional, but that's my authentic self because I lead with my heart, man. I have a big heart and I lead with my heart. So, and then also just bringing back memories of my cousin and her fight as well. This is why I'm doing it, is to keep Karen Wall's journey alive. This is dedicated not only to you, but as well as to my cousin as well, who have gained her wings,
Her wings.
a couple of years ago. So, but I still keep her relevant and keep her alive because it was a journey. And I also want to say big up to Unmasked for doing these shirts, Fight for a Cure. If you purchase a shirt, the proceedings went to one of the nonprofits that supports breast cancer. So big up to Unmasked for keep doing what you're doing, Coach Lamar, and spreading awareness for women. He's a man; he didn't have to do it, but
Well, like I said earlier, men get breast cancer as well.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So big up to Unmasked. But thank you for coming on this evening. It was a great conversation. It was an emotional conversation for me, but to see you on the other side, to see you sharing your story when I tell you, she was like, no, I ain't doing that, Lorna. No, I was like, okay, it's powerful. Though. You got to, she's like, I'm not doing that. But to see, wow, you sitting here today sharing and your videos. And like I always told you, what you've been through ain't for you. And I believe you got a ministry, and what you're doing and your videos is just the beginning of your ministry to heal other women and men.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
But in saying that, we're going to get out of here because I need to go dry my eyes and stuff like that. I don't know if y'all like my lipstick, but I try to wear pink, I try to put a little pink lipstick on. I'm normally neutral, but I try.
I want to give a quick shout out. I'm not being, I want to make that disclaimer, but I do want to give a shout out to David Yerman for any of you who are into jewelry or luxury brands. David Yerman actually has a contract, or they have a relationship with the Breast Cancer Society, and they have for the past 14 years. They have the rubber bands, which I'm not wearing, but they have two sides of the rubber bands, and then they have the traditional David Yerman bracelet, and it's in pink. 20% of their proceeds go to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. And so as we're wrapping up Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but think about when you are purchasing things to give awareness or bring awareness to breast cancer. Not all companies are giving proceeds for research or awareness. So I think it's important that, you know, I speak on that too, because it's such a big topic, and everyone wants to bring awareness. But if you can't donate, like physically donate, but this is another way to actually donate. Like if you're gonna buy something in the proceed, and 20% is actually not bad, because there are a lot of companies that only do maybe 5 or 10%.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just wanted to give my little shout out because I thought that was impressive. You know, and I'm always trying to find bands that, you know, aren't cheesy looking, or again, something that they're gonna give back to the cause. And so David Yurman is actually one of those luxury brands that actually gives back to the cause.
Okay, great. I'm gonna have to get that information from you. I love
Yeah.
his I love his bracelets.
Yep.
I have a knockoff one. Everybody kept saying, is that a?" And I was like, "No, it's not." But it looked like it. Don't. It was like, "Yeah," I said, "But it's not."
Yeah. I feel like
his jewelry is really nice. I will buy
yeah,
that. I will buy that bracelet. Yes, his jewelry is really nice.
yeah,
Really nice. But thank you
yeah.
for sharing that as well. And we're gonna get up out of here. So you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for stay tuning. But I just wanted to make sure we drop this special interview before.
Don't forget to do your mammograms. Don't forget to do your self exams.
Yes. I'm always feeling because I got big girls. So I need an appointment. You know, I think my doctor's tired of seeing me, but I do. I make sure that I do my exams and feel myself just to make sure. And because anybody know me, I go to the doctor. Quick as water, I love the doctor. Where you going? The doctor. I even told my trainer when, you know, we doing these things, I was like, man, you're gonna have me in the doctor's office. Because you know, when you work in your muscles, everything tend to hurt, right? And I'll be like, wait a minute, this, you know, and I'll be like, oh, I forgot I did lift the other day. I was like, man, you be having me in the doctor's office, you know. But yeah, but in saying that, we wish you well.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Keep growing, keep loving, keep healing.
Of course.
You have a long journey ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. In saying that, good night, y'all. Good night. Q, stay on. Good night.